Hello and welcome to the session on inclusiveness and equal access to higher education issues and solutions. Higher education creates lots of ways to go ahead in the future. The importance of higher education has become increased in getting good job and position. It makes us strong mentally, socially and intellectually by increasing our knowledge level, technical skills and good position. Each and every individual has their own dream of doing something different in their life. Indeed, higher education also acts as a means to achieve their dreams. India has the third largest higher education system in the world. The year 2012 witnessed 21.4 million enrollments, which makes India the third largest educational system in the world. It has more than 652 universities, 33,000 colleges with more than 20 million students. Moreover, the government intends to achieve enrollment of 35.9 million students in the higher education institutions with a gross enrollment ratio of 25.2% by the end of 12th five-year plan period through the coexistence of multiple types of institutions including research-centric, teaching and vocation-focused ones. Even though it is a quite remarkable growth, 100% inclusiveness and equal access to higher education in India has not been established. There are innumerable factors that affects on this point of view. Let's discuss some of the factors that affects on the inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. Firstly, economic inequality. Higher education can seem out of reach for the students from economically weaker section of the society. Too often they believe higher education as unaffordable and unattainable. They may lack understanding of how financial aid works or perceive they are unable to meet the full cost of higher education. They prefer to attend the institution closer to home to save money and to pursue choices that allow them to work while in studying. Lynch and O'Riordan, 1998, examined the barriers experienced by low-income working-class students in accessing and succeeding in higher education. The study identified three principal barriers facing working-class students, that is, economic, social, cultural, and educational. The study found out that the economic barriers are of prime importance that hinders inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. To promote their inclusiveness and equal access, Constitution of India in its 103 Amendment 2019 reserved 10% of reservation. In fact, more number of educational provisions are required to reduce the economic inequality. Next, regional inequality. In India, higher education institutions are more concentrated at metropolitan and developed cities. Consequently, uneven distribution of higher education fuels regional inequalities. Indeed, students from rural and underdeveloped regions cannot access higher education as students from urban and developed regions. This has been reflected in NSS data 2014 that the gross enrollment ratio of students from rural is only 24% while the students from urban area is 44%. This low enrollment rate is mainly due to lack of availability of higher educational institution in the underdeveloped regions. Regional disparity in higher education enrollment even exists in China according to the study conducted by Liu in 2016 and as well as in Greece according to the study conducted by Verdis and Associates 2019. In India, a study conducted by Banu and Raval 2015 found out that there exists large regional variation in the level of education in West Bengal due to historical, social, cultural, economic and inefficient government policies, etc. Hence, there is a great need to promote decentralization of higher education. Next, social inequality. Social stratification in India along the line of caste, ethnicity and religion is also reflected in educational attainment, with a vast quantity of literature documenting inequalities therein. Socially disadvantaged groups such as scheduled castes and scheduled tribes continue to have lower enrollment ratio. Vice versa, those belonging to other social groups. As one moves up the caste hierarchy from low caste to middle class, from middle class to upper class, the gross enrollment ratio also increases. Many factors cumulatively lead to disadvantages for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe students in obtaining access to opportunity for higher education. This include their low socio-economic backgrounds, their status of being first generation learners. Third, the location of their residence in rural areas with poor learning infrastructure in schools and family. In addition, due to high dropout rates from school amongst the socially excluded groups, only the limited students from such background are able to seek entry in the higher education, which reinforces the persistence of social group disparity in higher education. A similar condition prevailed in South Africa, which was found out by the study conducted by Ibrahim and Swarth in 2009. That is, the study found out that the economic, educational, socio-cultural and political factors interact with each other to promote inequality to accessing higher education among disadvantaged class. To promote social equality in India, the government has to put in place strong affirmative action policies to redress many of the historical injustices. Next, prestigious higher educational institutions. Prestigious higher educational institution charges high fees. This type of institution is inaccessible for disadvantaged group students. The less privileged institution only serve the less privileged group, while the students from privileged groups are more likely to attend a reputed higher educational institution. Thus, selection of institutions largely depend on socio-economic background. The admission policy at private institutions directly affect the students' enrollment. Some private institutions which are profit-minded give more preference for the students from privileged group and underrepresent the students from unprivileged group. The management quota, which may not be based on merit, helps the privileged group non-meritorious students. While admission in government is based on the performance of students, this promotes great representation of meritorious students from socially excluded and underprivileged groups. Next, parents' educational status. Higher the educational status of parents, higher the educational awareness of parents. Gooding, Jackson and Robinson in 2001 conducted a study on the relationship between parental educational level and academic success of college freshmen and found out that students whose parents at higher educational level performed higher on standardized tests than parents with lower educational levels. While parents with less educational level or uneducated also support the education of their children but not well aware as an educated parent. Hence, to certain extent, educational status of parents also impacts on inclusiveness and equal access to higher education of students. Next, marriage. In a male-dominating society, receiving education is a challenge for girls. After marriage, continuing education is really a dream. She wants the full support from her husband and husband's family. Liv Green and McIntyre in 2006 conducted a study on the relationship between women's education and marriage outcomes. The study found out that the women's education is strongly related to husband's income and marital status. Hence, after getting husband's support only, married girls may successfully complete their higher education. While boys get full support and encouragement for education, but boys too affected by marriage as a constraint to access higher education. If he gets married at the age of 21, that disturbs his access to higher studies. Stereotype behavior in the society is that after marriage, he should take care of his family, he should work, he should earn. Hence, it becomes impossible for him to pursue higher education. Next, regional language as a medium of instruction. Students from standard and prestigious school provide a strong base to excel communication skill in English, while students from regional language medium of instruction face difficulties in writing exam in English, communicating with teachers and peer group. This adversely lowers their self-confidence, creates inferiority complex, stage fear, affects their educational achievement and may even contribute to increased dropout rate. Even though regional language medium, other language also should be given equal importance. All the students should be given a qualitative educational base. In reading skill, writing skill and communication skill, students should be developed. It empowers them to face any interview or any presentation confidently. Next, selection of subject. Selection of subject is based on the availability and awareness of various courses. Awareness of various courses varies from urban to rural students, educational level of parents, first generation learners, socio-economic disadvantaged group, women students. Indeed, it is found out that students from above mentioned underprivileged section opt arts, social science, while students from privileged section opt science, technology and engineering, etc. Next, disability. Disability is not a disease. Students with disability are able to overcome their limitation if proper education is provided. But presently, maximum percentage of students with disability are unable to complete their schooling. In fact, a very few students with disability are accessing higher education. Encouraging these students for higher education is needed. Accessibility and inclusion of students with disability need to be enhanced. Good infrastructure, barrier-free environment, inclusive teaching strategies, proper curriculum adaptation is required. This helps them to access and successfully complete higher studies. This empowers them to lead an independent life. India ratified the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability on October 1, 2007. The convention states that persons with disability should be guaranteed the right to inclusive education at all levels, regardless of age, without discrimination and on the basis of equal opportunity. Thus, these factors affect on inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. These issues need to be solved. Now let's discuss some of the measures to enhance inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. The following are the measures to enhance inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. Providing a qualitative basic education at school level, strengthening measures to increase the achievement capacity of SC/ST and marginalized sections to reduce dropout rate and improve their performance. Providing remedial coaching for SC and ST and marginalized section. Encouraging meritorious students from deprived categories. Providing scholarship and fellowship for the SC and ST and OBC, etc. providing incentives for students with disability and other marginalized sections, providing good infrastructure facilities for the students with disability, enhancing the participation of women students by providing hostel facility and stipend, etc. Creating awareness of various courses and higher educational institution, etc. Creating awareness of higher education among the stakeholders. Providing proper educational guidance and counseling for the students. Reducing regional imbalance by establishing more number of higher educational institutions at deprived and underdeveloped regions. Aligning higher education to international standards. These measures helps to overcome the problem towards inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. While the 12th five-year plan also emphasizes to enhance inclusiveness and equal access to higher education. The vision of the 12th five-year plan for Indian higher education is to achieve further access to higher education. Access coupled with equity and inclusion by bridging regional imbalances and disparities across disciplines and address spatial, economic, social and technical needs of the country. In relation to equity and inclusion, the objective of the 12th five-year plan is to eliminate gender disparities and to significantly reduce urban-rural, inter-regional and inter-social group disparities. Thus, the major emphasis of the 12th five-year plan was also on promoting inclusiveness so as to accommodate more students from the marginalized section into the ambit of higher education. Another important program in the area of higher education is Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan (RUSA), a centrally sponsored scheme launched in 2013 with a vision to attain higher level of access, equity and excellence in the state higher educational system with greater efficiency, transparency, accountability and responsibility. It provides great opportunity to all the eligible persons, in particular to the vulnerable section and rural population. It extends access by supporting existing institutions, establishing new institutions and to remove imbalance that exist at present. Now, it can be concluded that inclusiveness and equal access to higher education of students independent of socio-economic background, socially disadvantaged background or any locality, gender, disability is needed. Further, economic, regional, social balance need to be maintained. Any type of constraint towards inclusiveness and equal access to higher education need to be resolved. Meritorious students from deprived section need to be motivated. Higher education should meet the international standard with best faculty, curriculum and facility. Finally, there is a great need to create awareness about the higher education among all the stakeholders. With this, ultimately, higher education will produce a qualitative human resource. Thank you for watching this program. Have a nice day.